Dr. Golf, John Jacob, shows you a more practical way to play this wonderful game. But first, to introduce the show, a well-known amateur enthusiast, Sean Connery.
Even though we Scots invented the game of golf, we still have to learn how to play it if we want to play it well. And so does everybody else. John Jacobs has a reputation of being golf's finest teacher. Now, I know from personal experience how well justified that is. No one I've encountered has such a practical approach to teaching the game, and no one has been able to make it more logical and simple for me. And I'm certain that John will open your eyes and lower your scores with this new series of his.
Thanks very much, Sean. Now, in this program, I'm going to talk about the full golf swing. But I want you to understand right from the outset, the function of the golf swing is to provide the correct contact of club and ball. For me, golf is ball control. And we can't control the ball unless we can have the club behaving itself when it hits it. Now, what is the correct impact? There are three very distinct facets to impact. I want to talk first about the club face. I've got two lines on the ground here, you will see. That one representing the target line, that one is at right angles to it. To hit a straight shot, we have to have the club face square. You'll see here, if I just swing the club through the ball with the club face square, the ball will go along the target line. I've got some air balls here. I'm going to hit a couple of shots, one with the club face open, one with the club face closed. These don't go very far, and therefore they'll stay within our camera range, and you can see what will happen when first I hit the ball with the club face open. You'll see the ball goes to the right of the target. This one with the club face closed. And this time to the left of the target. Now, I haven't hit them miles out of camera range, but I just want you to see that with the face open, the ball goes to the right. With the face closed, the ball goes to the left. So obviously, we have to get the club face square at impact. So that's the first and quite definitely the most important thing about impact. But also, we have to have the club swinging along the target line. So at impact, not only has the club face to be square, but the club has to be traveling along the target line. Although the swing path is from the inside, and more about that later, but at impact has to be on line if the ball is going to go on line. So that's two dimensions. Club face has to be square, swing path has to be straight. And the third dimension, I suppose in the millions of words which have been written about this game, most people have quite forgotten that we're trying to move the ball forward. Now, since the ball is on the ground, the club swings up, swings down, and swings up again. I think you'll see better from this angle. There will be an angle of approach of the club to the ball. There is an upswing and a downswing. So the angle of approach of the club to the ball has to be appropriate for moving the ball forward. The swing is from the inside to straight, with the bottom of the arc relatively shallow. We're trying to move the ball forward. And the fourth dimension, club head speed. Now, in my experience, and I've been teaching this game for a very long time, I haven't met very many people who haven't got enough club head speed. They've got the club head speed, but unfortunately, they're applying the club incorrectly to the ball, so often with the club face open. And if you hit the ball with the club face open, as you've already seen, the ball goes out to the right. Open club face, ball to the right. Most golfers immediately react to shots consistently going out to the right by swinging out to in. They swing to the left. And when they swing to the left, they get a very steep angle of attack, which is fairly useless for propelling the ball forward. You lose distance if you hit down too much. The converse of that, if you hit the ball with the club face closed, this time you will see the ball will finish to the left, and once shots go to the left, the reaction will be to swing in to out. Now, an in to out swing doesn't hit down at all. In actual fact, by the time you get to the ball, you will be swinging up. Look at it from this angle, and if I just swing behind the ball here, you'll see an in to out swing. The bottom of the arc is right behind the ball. It's not coinciding with the ball, and therefore the swing will be coming up from there on, hence a lot of top shots, and if there is a divot at all, it will be behind the ball, that sort of thing. So remember, the function of the golf swing is to provide the correct impact of club and ball. Club face square, swing path straight, correct angle of attack. Now, the easiest way to achieve that is to address the ball correctly in the first place. That's why the setup is so important, because it directly relates to the impact. The most important part about the address position, to my mind, is the grip, since the grip controls the club face, and I hope you're already alerted to how important the club face is. Now, there's no mystique about the grip. You're trying to find your hand position at address, which is going to be your hand position at impact. For myself, I know that my hands are about in that position, that is with the V's between the thumb and first finger of both hands pointing just to the right of the chin. I know they're about there when I hit the ball, so I start with them there, since that's where I'm going to come back to. I wonder if you can see what would happen if I started with my hands around here, but I say my impact position is with the V's in that position. Obviously, the club face is going to be far too open at impact. Similarly, if I started with my hands way around here, but my impact position is back to my position there, then of course I would close the club too much. So there's no mystique. You're trying to find your position at address which will match up at impact. Let me talk about the grip in more detail. Now, I don't think it really matters whether you overlap the little finger like the famous Harry Vardon, that's known as the Harry Vardon grip, or interlock the two little fingers like the great Jack Nicklaus, or indeed use all the fingers of the right hand. What is important, as I've explained to you already, is that the hands are at the correct angle. But in detail, the club in the left hand is across the fingers and the base of the palm. It's not in the fingers, it's not in the palm. The V form between the thumb and first finger points somewhere between the chin and the right shoulder, and the thumb is about a third of the way around the shaft. The right hand, the hollow of the right hand, fits on top of the left thumb. In my case, the little finger sits on top. I use the Harry Vardon grip, and the grip in the right hand is very much in the fingers, not in the palm at all this time, fingers of the right hand, so that when I close the right hand, both V's are in the same direction, and the hands fit snugly together, and it works as one unit. It's not just the position of the grip, it is also the pressure of the grip. If you tend to leave the club face open coming into the ball, you would need to grip lighter to allow the club head to catch up and square up at impact. On the other hand, if you were someone who continually closed the club face, which would mean the wrists were working independent of the arms, then you would need to grip more firmly. So if you tend to hook, a fairly firm grip. If you tend to slice, keep it light. The grip, I always think, for children, young people when they're starting the game, it's most important that they do start by getting the club face square. The worst thing in the world for a youngster is to start with the open club face, the ball slices, and they immediately learn the wrong action. So young people, and most ladies I would say too, need to have the V's fairly well over. That is giving them the strength of the left arm. So young people, ladies, a strong grip. Most tournament players, the great players, have started that way as children. That's why they become good players. But of course, as they get stronger, the ball tends to hook, and then they have to change to what we would describe a weaker grip. Ben Hogan, Arnold Palmer, they're people who have done that. They now use a grip with both V's going up to the chin. Don't be frightened of doing a little experimenting. Both hands together, both V's parallel. If you tend to slice the ball to the right, turn the hands a little to the right. If you turn the hands to the left, you would do that when the ball is hooking to the left. Very important part of the game. Learn how to hold the club. The correct grip then gives us the best chance of controlling the club face. Now, how about hitting straight through? Now, this is where we've got to be able to set up to the ball correctly. Now, the correct setup means we've got to get two things right. We've got to get the aim of the club on target and the body parallel to the aim. And it's terribly important you do it that way round. You start by aiming the club, usually by looking from behind, looking down through the ball to the target. Of course, in this instance, this lovely tape here makes it easy. It draws out for me what I want you to see. The club aiming straight at the target. The aim of the club positions the handle and tells me exactly where to put my feet. I'm going to do it incorrectly so that you can see what I mean. If I inadvertently aim that club to the right, which would be a mistake, I'm sure you can see the handle has gone too far forward and I will immediately stand in the wrong position. If I aim the club to the left, the handle will be too far back and I will be standing too far behind the ball. So we have to start by aiming the club in the most ordinary manner with the correct loft on the club. I've got a 6-iron here, so this has got to be square to the target with the 6-iron loft. I mustn't change it into something stronger. For instance, that time I've taken the loft off the club, it's put the handle too far forward, and I will be ahead of the ball. If I put the 6-iron down like an 8-iron, the handle will be too far back and I'll be too far behind the ball. Now, in very, very simple terms, put the maker's loft on the club, 6-iron in this case, aim it at the target. That will position the handle and it will position the feet. It does not position the shoulders. Remember, we've got to aim the club correctly and the shoulders must be parallel. It's the simple T with the club on target, body parallel. Feet are important. I would say shoulders are more important. It's possible for me to play from that position with the feet open. It's possible for me to play from this position. What is terribly difficult is to play from this position. So it's important to have the club on line, the body parallel. Now, because the left hand is the higher of the two, the left is at the top, the right is underneath, the left shoulder will be slightly higher than the right shoulder. Do remember, aim the club, keeping the loft on the club. Feet in position from the club, keep the shoulders square, left shoulder up, right underneath the left. If you're in the correct address position, you will see the way the club should go back. I think it's important that you understand the two lines on a golf club. The bottom line is the one we aim at the target. The top line, which is not parallel to the bottom line, that one is the one that gives us the swing path in the backswing. Looking down the shot, club on target, the bottom of the blade, the top of the blade, if I am standing square, will tell me exactly where to swing the club. At this stage then, we've got the correct grip to take care of the club face. We've got the correct aim of the club and set of the body to make it possible to hit straight through. So we've got two things dealt with at impact as far as it's possible to deal with them at address. Now, how about this last one, this important one, the angle of attack? Remember, the club has got to swing through the ball in such a way that that's going to propel the power through the ball forward, not into the ground. Now, let me point out to you at this stage that we're playing a game whereby the ball is positioned to the side of us. I'm over here, the ball is over there. Now, that very fact means that the arc of the swing is going to be from the inside through the golf ball, straight through the ball, parallel to this line, and back to the inside. Now, it's terribly important to get the correct posture with the knees bent and the back straight so that when the body moves, it allows the club to come to the inside and go back to the inside. That's why we have to have the knees bent and the back straight. quite wrong to have the head too far forward. That very view of the golf ball will tend to take the club too straight back, and the shoulders won't turn, the shoulders will rock, and the club will swing on a straight line. It's not a straight line, the ball is to the side. Now, if you're in the correct posture, the arms will hang free because it's the arms and hands which are going to swing the club, but it is the moving out of the way of the body which is going to allow the club to come to the inside and go back to the inside. The weight will want to be on the flat of the feet. If the weight is too far forward, the angles will be wrong. If the weight is too far back, well, then, of course, the body will turn too flat and the club will come too much inside. So let me sum up the address position. Terribly important to hold the club correctly if we're going to have a square club face at impact. Vital to be able to aim the club in the correct direction. Let that fix the ball in the correct position relative to the feet. Have the shoulders square and the correct posture. Now, I can almost hear you saying to yourselves, that's an awful lot to do. I agree it is. But at this stage, you are fully operative. This is a drill that you can learn. You can learn to hold it, to aim it, to stand correctly. Once you swing the club, I don't think many of us can think of more than two things, and in actual fact, I would say think of two things when you're practicing, and you've got to get that down to one when you're playing golf. So do make sure you have given yourself every chance. If I go to an Open Championship and I see some great player not playing his best, I can assure you that 99 times out of 100, he's got out of the right address position. He's struggling to start from the right place. I suppose Jack Nicklaus, everyone would agree, has been the best player over the last 20 years, and I'm convinced it's because he makes the effort every time, even with every practice shot, to go through the correct drill of aim, grip, stance and posture. Now, if you're in that correct position, you will get a view of the backswing and the body will move to accommodate the swing. So at this stage, we're all ready to go. At last, the golf swing. Now, this is the fun part, isn't it? We finally get to hit some golf balls. But don't forget, let's address it correctly, and then we can start to swing the club. Now, I've already pointed out to you one of the aspects of the address position. The ball is to the side of us, and therefore the arc is from in back to in, and we move the body to allow that to happen. But the ball isn't just to the side. The ball is also on the ground. So as we turn, the arms swing the club up and down. And in its simplest terms, the golf swing is a combination of body action and hand and arm action. We turn the body, and at the same time we swing the club up, we swing it down again at the same time that we swing through. In its very simple terms, I would say, golf, you have to hold the club so that the club face is going to be square. You have to aim the club so that it will be on target, and the body must be parallel and in the correct posture. The backswing is to get the golf club aimed parallel to the target line, in the correct plane. Now, this would be aimed correctly, but it would be in the wrong plane. That would be too steep. This would be aimed correctly, but that would again be in the wrong plane. This would be in the correct plane, but it's in the wrong direction. Now, hopefully you can see that the backswing is to get the golf club aimed in the correct plane, and then we use the golf club to swing it through the ball to propel the ball forward. Now, that's golf in its simplest terms, but I would have to say there is just a little bit more to it than that. I have said repeatedly how important the address position is. If you're in the correct address position, you will actually get a preview of where the club should go. It's important we don't get too static at address for the simple reason we are going to swing the club. So we would what we call waggle. And again, the waggle will be in the direction that we're going to swing the club. If we're in the right address position, the fact that we are to the side of something, the club will swing back to the inside and you will get a view of where the club is going to swing. Swinging back on the inside, the upper part of the body will turn, and I mean turn, not tilt, in order to make room for the club to swing up on the inside, so that eventually at the top of the backswing the club will be parallel to the target line in the correct plane. Now it is vital that you should get a view of the backswing, because that picture of where the club should go will help you to swing the club up at the same time that you turn. You see, one of the difficulties of this game, we swing the club up and down at the same time that we turn. I suppose me asking you to do that is almost like me saying, rub your tummy this way with one hand and stroke your head with this one, which is difficult to do. But if you will think in terms of the direction and keep the club swinging up on that direction, if you can keep the direction in mind, the club goes up as the shoulders turn. If you have no view of the direction, when you turn, the club could follow the turn too much. That would be totally wrong. That would be what we would call a flat swing. The body is turning correctly, but the club is following the turn too much. Again, if you saw the swing path, keep it on that direction, the club will go up. This would be swinging the club up correctly, but the body going with it. They're both in the same plane. The arms, club, and shoulders have got to be in two separate planes. That is very easily achieved if you get a view of the swing path, swing the club up on that path as you turn the shoulders. Now, I stress turning the shoulders. The lower half of the body, this is where leg action is very important. The lower half resists. These angles that we've set, remember the posture we needed for the correct turn, those angles stay the same. Good leg action, you don't see it, but good leg action is a resisting of the shoulders turning. The shoulders turn, the club swings up on that predetermined path. So we arrive. Club parallel to the target line, shoulders turn completely, legs still maintaining the angles they had at address. Now, the left arm is important in that the left arm has got to stay long enough in order to keep this side of the swing wide enough to create the correct angle of attack. If the left arm bends tremendously, obviously the swing will become too steep. So the swing is there, the shoulder moves to allow it to go there, and the left arm stays long enough to create the correct width. At the same time, the right elbow folds and the club arrives in the right position, plane and direction, with the body wound up. So the top of the backswing is A, to get the club in the correct position, and B, to get the body in the correct position, which is with the shoulders turned, with the lower half resisting. This is a fairway wood, remember, and that's a pretty full swing for me. And I would say the full swing, the club virtually reaches the target. In other words, it's parallel to the ground. But that's a very individual thing. Some people with softer wrists, and I might say 30 years ago, I used to swing it a bit further anyway, but with the wrists a little bit softer, the club would swing a little longer, and equally, hard wrists, more solid, the club would be shorter. It isn't necessary for the club to be parallel to the ground exactly at the target. But it is important that the club is in the direction of the target in the correct plane. The top of the backswing, the wrists, it's very much more important where the club is than where the wrists are. That's a straight left wrist. As long as the club is in position, that's perfectly in order. But so is that. There can be a degree of cup there. The great Ben Hogan swore by cupping the left wrist. Not very important. Where the club is very important. The different clubs. I'm going to go from a 3-wood to a very short iron, a 9-iron. Now, this one, very short club, means that I'm going to stand very much closer to the ball. Very close to the ball means that the golf club will swing on a more upright plane. Happily, we don't have to do anything about that. The very length of the club, the distance from the ball, is going to deal with the plane for us. Do remember what the backswing is for. It's to get the club in the correct plane and direction, and to get the body in the correct position. That's what the backswing is for. And I can assure you, if we've got the club in the right position and the body in the right position, the downswing becomes relatively easy. It's very difficult when the body has turned correctly, but the club's gone with it. The downswing is going to be ruined. If the club's gone up, but the body's gone with it, the downswing is going to be ruined. See the path. Turn the right side out of the way, resist with the legs, and let the club go up onto the target. How far you swing, very individual thing. I really did enjoy that last one. I suppose that's why we all play, isn't it? The feel of a good golf shot. Now, the downswing. We've gone through the drill of the correct address. We've swung the club up as we turned. The downswing, very much a reversal of that. We've got to the top correctly, so the arms are in a different plane to the shoulders. They're not locked together. We've still got this visualization of the path of the backswing. From the top, then, we swing the club down, but this time we turn the lower half through the ball. In the backswing, we turned the shoulders and swung the club up. This time I'm going to swing the club down and turn the body through. Never any independent movement, remember, in the golf swing. I suppose one ought to describe it as addressing correctly and then swinging to the setup. The correct setup, and then the golf club must swing relative to the setup. No point in a big change of direction from the top of the backswing. Now, this is where the arms are so important. They have to swing the club down at the same time that the body turns through. Like this, look. From the top, the arms down as the body turns through, and there it is. I enjoyed that one too, I might say. So, from the top, arms down the same path as we went up, body making room for the club to come from the inside to straight through and back to the inside again. Now, that arc from inside back to the inside does two very important things. It squares up the club face at impact, and swinging from inside back to the inside is going to maximize club head speed. The body is out of the way, allowing the club to come from in back to in. Golf is being able to set up correctly, yes, but we have to swing the club to the setup. In other words, we address it right here, and then we have to swing the club relative to the setup. There's no point in changing direction from the top of the backswing. Now, this, of course, is where the arms are so important, and also the shape of the backswing. If the body turns but the club swings up, since it swings up, it is likely to swing down. We don't want the club too closely associated to the body. So from the top of the backswing then, still be aware of hitting from the inside with the arms, swing the arms down that path, but again, nothing independent. We swing the arms at the same time that we move the lower half of the body. Arms down at the same time that I turn the body through. Arms down there, body through. Now, if we can do that, we arrive with the correct arc. We hit from the inside, going back to the inside. Now, that means that the arms can swing free through the golf ball. We get a very wide hit. The club face, which is open to the swing path this side and closed to the swing path that side, will go from open to closed very slowly and very repetitively if we swing down from the inside and move the body out of the way. We get a very wide extension through the ball, which is terribly important in controlling the club face. If the body stays in the way, everything stops except the club, and then of course it snaps closed. So just once more, from the top of the backswing, we swing the club down on the same path, but at the same time we turn the body through to get the body out of the way and let the arms swing wide through to the target. That in-to-in arc will give us an automatic square club face at impact, and the very fact that the arc is from in back to in, we get total release of the hands, and therefore our most club head speed.
And now John Jacobs takes you through the entire golf swing in slow motion, highlighting the key points from both angles.
Here I am with a 3-wood. At address there is movement, as you can see. We don't start from a static position. Club face is on target with the body parallel to the target line and the correct posture. Watch the arms and hands swing the club up, parallel to the target as the shoulders turn. Here I am at the top. My swing is slightly less than full, but if produced on, the club shaft would be parallel to the target line. You will notice the angles at the hips and knees are the same as at address. In other words, the legs are resisting as the shoulders turn. The change of direction at the top of the backswing is vital. So let's run back a little. Watch how the hands and arms swing the club up to the target and down again. The path of the upswing is the same as the start down. This is the real crossroad of the swing. Let's just see it once again. Arms swinging up and down with no independent use of either the shoulders or the wrist. If you are correct at this stage, all that follows will also be correct. I will talk to you about it, but let me remind you that all our efforts should be to set up correctly, arrive at the top of the swing with both club and body correct, and swing the arms down. Now watch. The hands automatically apply the club into the back of the ball. Shoulders are square as they were at address. Hips are already clearing to make room for the arms to swing through. After impact, watch how the club head returns to the inside, although the ball heads straight for the target. See what I mean? The club head swings on, carrying me to a complete follow-through, perfectly balanced, facing the target. Here I am at impact. Head still, arms extended, right shoulder coming under, hips clearing to allow room for a wide hit through to the target. The hips are fully cleared to allow for full extension of the arms, and the head stays still. And on to a complete follow-through. This time with a medium iron. Since the club is shorter, I stand nearer to the ball, and consequently, the club will swing on a more upright plane. And from face on, stands a little narrower, but watch the shoulder turn in the backswing as the legs resist and the arms swing up. And on to a 9-iron. I am standing very close to the ball now. Note the aim of the club, on target. The knees, hips and shoulders are all parallel to the target line, with the knees more bent, but my back is still relatively straight. From this position, the club will swing on a very upright plane this time. Watch the top of the swing as the arms finish the backswing and then start the downswing. The club is relating to the target all the way. Notice the divot with the shorter club, which finishes just left of target, proving the swing returns to the inside on the follow-through. From face-on with the shorter club, my stance is much narrower, and the things to look for are the full shoulder turn, even with a 9-iron. From the top, arms down in complete unison with the hips and legs. Head stays still through impact, and again, the free swing of the arms takes me to a complete follow-through.
From semi-tropical Florida to England in June. I know I'm just a little bit prejudiced, but what could be more gorgeous than the Hobridge Golf Centre set in the heart of the English countryside, but just 25 miles from the centre of London. They cater for all golfers here, from total beginners right up to internationals. And let's hope that some of the young people that begin their golfing careers here will go on to be champions. Now, I get questions asked wherever I teach golf all over the world, and quite a lot of misconceptions need to be cleared up. Let's go over to the golf course and deal with them. The first thing I want to talk about is that age-old cliche of keep the head down. I suppose there was sense in that when it was first said, but it's become far too emphasized. There are people who don't even play the game at the moment. People who don't play, they've all heard, ah, yes, golf, that's the game, you've got to keep your head down. Now, in all the years I've taught golf, I wouldn't think I've ever asked anyone to keep the head down at address. I've asked thousands to keep it up. If you get your head down too much at address, you're looking right down on top of the golf ball, which gives you a straight line mental picture of the backswing, and up goes the club and underneath go the shoulders. The club is in far too steep a position from where it can only hit the ground. Now, golf being a reaction game, you don't hit the ground very often before you start leaping away from it and you hit the ball right on the top, and some well-meaning friend says, hey, you had your head up. So you stick it down even further. Do remember at address, we've got to get the correct posture, knees bent, back straight. All golf professionals, you've probably never noticed, we've all got long necks. You never see a golf professional with the chin tucked into the chest. Correct posture then, which allows for the correct arc. Head up, knees bent, back muscles loose, not tight. In their effort to keep the ball straight, so many people are always asking me, how can I make sure that I get a square club face at impact? Well, of course, you can't guarantee it. You can't keep the club face square at impact. The club face arrives square at impact. Just watch the arc of the swing from here. You'll see the club will come to the inside, will go back to the inside, but the ball will go straight. From the address then to in here, through the golf ball and inside again. You'll notice the ball has gone straight. There is this moment when the arc of the swing is straight, and so is the club face at impact. Following on from that, how much should the club swing back on the inside? Now remember these two lines I've talked about. The front one, that's the one we aim at the target. The back one, which is distinctly open relative to the front one, the back one will give you a clue where to go in the backswing. It will obviously vary with the distance from the ball, but aiming the club correctly, bottom of the club on target, top of the club will show me where to go. But don't confuse the direction of the swing with the plane of the swing. That is the correct direction, but the club must go up if it's going to come down in the correct direction here. Don't go back on the inside and leave that line, otherwise that will swing too flat. So yes, it's on the inside, let the club help, but the body turns to let it go to the inside, but we swing the club up and down. A lot of confusion as well about hitting from the top. Most people assume that that is a hit from the top, an early uncocking of the wrist. Now that is one way of hitting from the top, And if you uncock the wrist too early, the club head overtakes the hands and the club face arrives closed in the hitting area, and you tend to hook shots. But by far the vast majority, they hit from the top with the shoulders too much. Now, when you hit from the top with the shoulders, the handle goes past the ball with the club face left open. Those shots tend to slice. I would suggest that if you swing the arms down from the top, you neither hit with the shoulders or the wrists. Added to which, you keep the shape of the swing correct. There's no suddenly change of direction at the top of the backswing. Just see what happens. I'm going to use an air ball this time, which won't go very far. You can see what happens. I'm going to hit too early. I'm going to hit from the top with the wrists. This one will hook. There you see it going way to the left. Conversely, this time I'm going to hit from the top with the shoulders. That will leave the club face open. See what happens this time. Shoulders hitting from the top, and away it goes to the right. So to avoid hitting from the top, get the correct setup, the correct backswing. And from the top of the backswing, swing the arms down, and there it goes straight, allied to the correct body action. Many of you come to me and ask me to teach you to hit late. Now, I usually reply, now look, hang on a minute, what's wrong with hitting at the right time? I've got no end of pictures in my home of me in this late hitting position. When I used to play a lot of golf years ago, if anyone took a picture of me, this seems to be the exotic spot that everybody's trying to achieve. So I know I get into that position because the camera tells me I get into that position. But I can assure you, if I try to get into that position, I can't hit it at all. So if you get the big things correct, that is the correct setup turn, the hands will cock at the top and will uncock at the bottom if you keep the body going. If you stop the body, well, then you will hit too early. You probably think we professionals are clever enough to say to ourselves, now, not yet, Jacobs, not yet, Jacobs, not yet, now. And of course, if we did that, we should miss it, but we're not that clever. The late hit, completely automatic. You don't have to worry about it. If you turn the body and swing the club up, and turn the body as you swing it through. Closely allied to late hitting is this firmly held belief that golf is purely and simply a left-sided game. A lot of you will have read you've got to be able to lead with the left side. It must disappoint a lot of you, because I can just almost hear you thinking, well, I'll never be any good at golf because I can't do it all with my left side. Stop worrying. The ball isn't in the least bit concerned which arm, which hand is swinging. The only thing the ball feels is the club head. Watch this one. I've just got hold with my right hand. The ball's not in the least bit worried. There it is, straight and far. Where the left arm is important, of course, is that this side of the swing, the left arm has got to be long enough to keep sufficient width. But by that, I don't mean stiff. And if you've got the correct setup and the correct turn, you will lead sufficiently with the left side. In actual fact, we strike the ball with the head of the club. That never wants to be done independent of the right side. The right side needs to come through as we strike the ball. There she goes. So you stop worrying about the left side. I can't help but think that over the past few years, legs have been far too emphasized. A few years ago, I thought people were actually kicking the ball around the course. They were talking so much about legs. Do remember, the only thing the ball is going to feel is the head of the club. So legs are important, yes, but hands and arms are terribly important. The only way you can apply the club to the ball. I'm reminded of the first time I taught golf in America, 10 years ago, and I had a lovely group of 40 pupils there, and they were all warming up, they were all hitting balls before I'd started. From the top of the backswing, all of them were rushing the body through the ball, and they were leaving the club head behind. They weren't hitting it very well. And I asked them to stop, and I gave them a demonstration, and this is the first shot I hit on that occasion. I stood on one leg, and I simply swung the club head through the ball, and I hit it very much further than any of them could hit it, and I was perfectly balanced at the end of the swing. So legs, yes, they are important. They're very important in terms of accuracy. If you hit through with the hands and arms independent of the body, the club face does tend to go from open to close too quickly. So the legs are important to resist in the backswing and to go through with the club head as we swing through. Using the legs through the ball allows for a wide hit, and therefore the club face closes slowly. We get much more accuracy that way. But it's a combination, hand and arm action and leg action and all body action with hands and arms. When I say the legs work to allow for a wide hit through to the target, I don't mean that the club extends along the target line. If you swing on that line for too long, the club face action is ruined. It won't close. The swing, remember, is from the inside back to the inside. The arc of the swing is going to square up the club face at impact, which will eventually close on the follow-through as the club comes inside again. Now, if you're in any doubt at all that the club returns to the inside, you've only got to look at the divots of the best players. Although the ball is struck with the club face square and the club travelling straight, immediately afterwards, and the divot is taken largely after the ball, the club's coming back to the inside again, so most of the divots are pointing to the left. So the body moves out of the way to allow for a hit through, and the club comes back to the inside again. In the perpetual struggle for distance, so many of you say to me, how hard should I hit? And I would always say, you hit as hard as you naturally hit. You don't hit less hard or harder. If you're trying to control your power or hit too hard, that's another worry. Just hit as hard as you naturally hit. I don't agree with taking it easy. If you're trying to hit less than your full power, that's another thing you're concerned about. This is my natural full shot, my natural degree of hardness. I turn, I hit it, and I turn through there, and I'm balanced. If I hit harder than that, I would start throwing myself at the ball. So just hit as hard as you naturally hit with all the normal full shots. I think it's important to appreciate what gives distance anyway. It's not just club head speed, although of course that is very important, but it's how the club is applied to the ball. The club face needs to be absolutely square at impact. The swing path at impact needs to be straight. And most important, the bottom of the arc needs to be shallow. We're hitting through. That won't do. That's going to lose distance. Can you imagine how many people have been to me down the years and said, please, John Jacobs, I want you to get me to hit the ball further. And I say, well, hit me a few and I'll tell you whether you can. In the vast majority of cases, yes, I can get them to hit the ball further because they're applying the club incorrectly to the ball, usually with the club face open and an out-to-in steep swing. Very, very rarely someone is making exactly the correct contact with the club coming directly into the back of the ball with the face square. Those people, they can't hit the ball any further. That's their maximum distance. But I would say again, that's the very rare one. Most people don't hit the ball far enough. They've got plenty of club head speed. I meet few people who have not got enough club head speed to play the game well. But it's how they're applying the club to the ball. Remember, square, straight, and shallow, and through, if you want the ball to go a long way. Now, what about the ladies, God bless them? You'll have noticed that a lot of the very best lady players, they're on their toes at impact. And it's not the reason that you all think. Most ladies have to hit earlier. They have to start the hands and arms working earlier in the downswing in order to attain maximum club head speed at impact. Now, that earlier hit, the club swings very wide, and therefore with the full radius, the arm and the shaft getting in a straight line, relatively early, that could tend to hit the ground behind the ball. So in order to make room, a lot of ladies go on their toes at impact. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's an absolute reflex action. An early hit from the top requires making room for it not to catch the ground. Conversely, a lot of the very strong tournament players, they hit very late. Therefore, their radius is still very narrow. They've just the opposite of wide there, and a lot of them, you will notice the head goes down in the hitting area to again get the correct radius effect at impact. All that is totally automatic. There's nothing wrong with ladies being on their toes at impact any more than the head going down a little bit with the strong late hitting man player. So many of you ask me, how tight should I grip? I would say I meet an awful lot of people who are gripping too tightly, for the very few who are gripping too lightly, but it's a very individual thing. If you tend to hook the ball, then the hands are likely to be too light and the club head is working through independent of the arms. So you would need to grip firmer so that the arms go through as well as the club head. That will delay the closing of the club face. So if you tend to hook, that's when you'd need the hands to be firm. If you tend to slice, that would mean the hands were so hard and solid that the club head couldn't get through. So therefore you would grip lighter if you tend to slice the ball. But remember, if the ball goes to the right, turn the hands to the right. If the ball goes to the left, turn them to the left. Another thing that helps a lot of people who tend to hook, lengthen the left thumb, a long left thumb. The longer the thumb, the more the back of the hand will be to the target. That will help you to give the left arm a solid feeling through the golf ball. A short thumb, then you're only gripping the club in the hands and wrists. So if you lengthen the thumb, you're bringing the arm into play through the ball. Very important that you keep hold with both hands at the top of the backswing. I don't mean fiercely tight, but if the right hand lets go, that tends to allow for backlash. When it gets hold again in the downswing, that throws the club head, and that's a too early hit. So a firm grip, but not fiercely tight, hands together throughout. So if your shots are bending in the air, that's certainly a club face mistake. So don't be scared of a little experimenting with the grip. Firmer if you tend to hook, light if you tend to slice. Turn the hands to the left if the ball is going to the left. Turn the hands to the right if the ball is going to the right. Very important facet of the game, how you hold it. Lastly, let me remind you of the ballistics of impact. You know, the ball, that's the best instructor of all. It can't lie. Whatever this does gives you an absolute steadfast reflection as to what your club is doing when it hits it. Just again with these air balls, if I swing out to in with the club face square, that is swing across here with the club face square, you'll see the ball will go immediately straight to the left. There it goes. If I swing in to out, that's too much this way, with the club face square, you'll see the ball will go immediately straight to the right. So that would give you, wherever the ball starts its flight, is a direct reflection on your swing path. If it starts to the left, you're swinging to the left. If it starts to the right, you're swinging to the right. When it gets out there, if the ball bends at all in the air, that gives you a true reflection of the face of the club. I'm going to hit this one with the club face closed. You will see the ball bend to the left this time. You see it bending away to the left. Conversely, if I hit it with the club face open, the ball will bend to the right. You see it, there it goes to the right. So once it gets out there, if it bends, that tells you all about the club face. I hope that'll help, I'm sure it does, and let the ball be the greatest help to you. Well, there you have it. I hope this program makes it possible for you to get even more pleasure from this very difficult but wonderful game. But of course, golf isn't just the full shots. It's putting, chipping, pitching, bunker shots, trouble shots, course management, self-management. Now, I'll be dealing with all those aspects of golf in future practical golf programs. I do hope you'll join me again. In the meantime, enjoy your golf.